The data shows that agreeableness is actually can impede your ability to get a promotion. But once you're in a high level leadership position, is associated with higher performance.
Hmm.
It's it's complicated because as you climb the ladder, less and less people will call you out.
Yes.
And it's very easy to become disagreeable and you think you control everything. So you become less of a listener. And that's a big problem. And people like you, Andrea, that advise executives, oftentimes the majority of the engagement is making the executive more self aware about how others perceive their leadership. And oftentimes it's
Absolutely.
a complete lack of agreeableness. There's another side to this, though. As a leader, if you're too agreeable, you're going to be ineffective. You cannot go around trying to build consensus all the time because people will disagree and you will have to make difficult calls. And it's going to be absolutely exhausting if all you try to do is get 100% consensus on everything. It doesn't work. So, in the psychology of leadership, there's a lot of research, but this part is my rule, my practical rule. I say be disagreeable 10% of the time. Sometimes you need to put your foot down and be disagreeable. It's a question of dosage and balance and picking your battles. You're going to have to make tough calls with winners and losers in your organization, and that's going to involve being disagreeable. It's difficult, but it's important to pick your battle. And just one more thing, Andrea, something I talk about in the book because I like to tell stories. There's an example of a leader in popular culture who is too disagreeable, right? So you don't want to
Mm.
be too agreeable or too disagreeable. You need to be conscious, aware of picking your battles. But the prototypical leader who's too disagreeable is from the show Game of Thrones. Now, I don't know how many people in your audience have watched the show Game of Thrones, but there's a character there, King Joffrey. He's a young king, and he's the most disagreeable. He's the most evil, most hated TV character maybe of all time. King Joffrey is just cruel. He's a tyrant, and he just disagrees with everybody. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with being disagreeable, for example, in an academic context. It's a matter of how. But let's just say that King Joffrey is a caricature of an extremely disagreeable
Yes.
person. And they're sitting there with the family trying to make some tough decisions in Game of Thrones. The intrigue is very high. And young King Joffrey gets upset at his brother and pounds the table and goes, I am the king and I will punish you. And the wise grandfather, Tywin, is sitting there, sits back a little bit, and says the following: any man who needs to say, I am the king, is no true king.
Yes.
And the idea is that if you find yourself having to assert your authority all the time, there's something probably wrong with your leadership. You're probably not inspiring the team enough. You're probably not confident enough in your decisions. It's a symptom of a leadership problem. So there you go. I'm not sure are people listening to this were expecting some Game of Thrones analogies, but here we are.